cowards, they suffer a lot, but they live long. Sasa hiyo msemo huwa nachukulia kweli sisi maskini tunahangaika sana na hii shida zetu za chini chini.
Last January, we spoke to Owino, a resident of Owino Uhuru slum in Mombasa, a place whose residents have been falling ill and dying from lead poisoning, with the county and national government's full knowledge. She had fallen victim to the effects of lead poisoning already, having miscarried twice in 2 years. Miscarriages are common amongst women with elevated blood lead levels. Lynette's enduring wish was to have a baby.
And that we needed the ear of the president on this.
1 year after meeting Lynette, we've gone back to Owino Uhuru to check on her and everyone else. Her husband, Jackson, leads us to their home. He brings what's left of Lynette out. Lynette died shortly after giving birth. These are images of her body being taken out of the morgue for transport to Jackson's home in Busia County. Lynette Ouma's death was caused by the effects of lead poisoning. Her autopsy confirms this. Yet she could have lived if both the Mombasa County Administration and the Ministry of Health had kept their word.
Na machungu sana. Ambapo kuumia kwetu serikali inajua. Hiyo kampuni kuja hapo bila vibali. Serikali ilijua. Na kufa kwetu serikali ndio inachangia. Kwa hivyo tushughulikie wala mambo baki tupate kupona.
Jackson isn't exaggerating. A government chemist report on the blood lead levels of 50 residents of Owino Uhuru proved what we had confirmed a year ago, that the residents of the slum are in serious trouble. Let's put it this way. The most recent reports of lead poisoning globally came from Flint, Michigan in the United States, where up to 100,000 people may have been exposed to lead-contaminated water. Although there is no safe level of lead in the blood, people with 5 parts per million of lead in their blood should be worried. There, the maximum blood lead levels recorded were 7 times higher than this, at about 35 parts per million. Compare this to Owino Uhuru. Whereas the population of people in the immediate exposure zone of the lead factory is about 3,000, the blood lead levels recorded there are way higher than Flint. The highest blood lead level recorded there was 420 parts per million. That is 84 times higher than the blood lead level normally considered as a cause for concern. According to the World Health Organization, in children, any blood lead level above 150 parts per million is considered potentially fatal. In adults, that figure could be slightly higher, with women often unable to carry pregnancies to term, like Lynette. Her blood lead level was the second highest on the list of people tested by the government chemist, 238.3 parts per million, 48 times higher than the 5 part per million red zone. It took the government chemist 8 months to publish this report. It was sent out on the 28th of April 2015, interestingly, 2 days after our first report on lead poisoning there came out. Lynette was still alive then. She wouldn't hold out much longer, dying that September, as copies of the report with information that could have led to an intervention into her failing health sat in her county governor's office with the Ministry of Health and with the Senate. Among the government chemist report's recommendations is the immediate treatment of those found to have high levels of lead in their blood, the resettlement of the entire community, and the digging up and placing of the soil in Owino Uhuru in a landfill. Frankly, it's said that Owino Uhuru is a toxic place unfit for human beings and animals to live in. This report was published and shared to the Director of Medical Services, the Cabinet Secretary for Health and his Principal Secretary, and all relevant county offices. After our report, the county government promised that a wing of the Port Reitz Hospital had been set aside to treat the sick of Owino Uhuru. After the cameras went away, nothing further happened. Lynette died in September last year, a clear 5 months after the government chemist report was published. But there are more people at risk in Owino Uhuru. Last year, we met 2-year-old Philemon Otieno at his home. With wounds on his head and leg and a blood lead level of 7 parts per million. His grandmother led us to his school at the bottom of the valley on which Owino Uhuru sits. His skin condition is a lot worse. His health seems to be fading. I was hoping not to have to comment on this video. It's been 11 months since we came to Owino Uhuru the first time. We met that young man over there, Philemon. And I was hoping that when we come back, there'd be some progress. After all, so many promises were made to these people.
Government, in the first place, was unwilling to accept the responsibility of what happened in Owino Uhuru. But I believe that when you stepped in and amplified the voices of this community, they came in to show that they were doing something. The Port Reitz ward is a mirage. It never existed.
But it was opened on TV.
It was opened on TV and media, and yeah, we felt very betrayed by the media because they said that the government had stepped in and everything was fine and the ward had been set aside. But nothing like that happened. What I know is 10 people were given calcium supplements. And calcium supplements is not enough.
People who may have a case to answer over the poisoning and the deaths include current Nyali Member of Parliament, Hezron Awiti-Bolo, who at one time served as the executive chairman of the firm and whose company owns the land upon which both Owino Uhuru and the factory are sitting on. He intends to run for governor next year. The Indian nationals behind the opening of the factory are still at large, with no comment from any one of the agencies pursuing this issue on where they are, what they could be doing, and whether they could be brought to justice.